Good morning, all. I am just checking in with a few board members as it is 8:31.
Thank you, Christina.
You're welcome. Hi, guys. I just am checking in with some board members, so we should be getting started shortly.
Great.
All righty.
Good morning.
Morning. Good morning, Miss Brody. I'm just checking that that is you. I'll rename your iPhone.
Oh, goodness.
Hold
It is me. Good morning.
on. Okay.
Good morning.
What did I do? Oh, what did I do? I renamed the wrong person. Uh-oh. Who was that?
I don't see that you renamed the wrong person. I just don't see a name change.
What did I do here? Okay. All right, there's a C that's an. And it's not Charisse. That's weird. Because I still see Charisse. Anywho. So
No,
mhm.
now we see Shantae's name, Chairman
Okay.
Brody's name. Thank
Okay.
you.
You're welcome. Thank you guys. So as I was telling Miss Brody, so it was Miss Aisha Clark and Miss Yvette Bello, but obviously Aisha has transitioned on and Miss Bello is unable to make it. So it looks like it's just Miss Brody for this meeting as a board member.
Okay.
So Miss Brody, when you're ready to begin, should be an easy meeting. You might be having mute issues again. So if you are speaking, Ms. Brody, you are.
Lord.
We learned this the hard way at a policy committee yesterday.
Yes, I'm telling you, before I turn in my old phone, this might be, I don't want the new phone. I was trying to sign into Board Docs. My computer is running slow. So if you could share the agenda just until my computer
Absolutely
catches up. I will call the School Choice and Facilities January 2020 meeting to order. I thank everyone who has taken the time to attend. With that said, we are going to, and I'm Shantae Brody, the only board member present today. And we are going to jump into our first agenda item 1.01, Hartford Public School and Resco School Choice Planning. And I'm assuming that'll be from our Chief Davis Googe.
Yes. Good morning. We are in the midst of our school choice season, and I think it would be on this cold day, great option to start with this season's school choice commercial. Ms. Brody, are you able to see from your phone if I share my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to view this year's choice commercial. One moment, please. Are you able to see the start of it?
Yep, I can see it perfectly.
Okay, okay. You know what? I didn't check for sound, so I'm going to try to turn up my speakers.
Hello, this is your superintendent, Dr. Leslie Torres Rodriguez. Here at Hartford Public Schools, we focus on the whole student through quality instruction and enduring social emotional support. We have high expectations so that our beautiful and capable students are ready to transform the world. I invite you to learn more about our academically inspiring and emotionally supportive learning environments. There's a high quality Hartford Public School waiting for you and your students.
Were you all able to hear it and see it?
Yes, that was nice.
Okay. It's also in Spanish. Would you like to view it in Spanish as well?
Yes, please.
Okay, one moment.
Gotta say sí.
Sharing my screen.
Hola, soy su superintendente, la doctora Leslie Torres Rodríguez. Aquí en las escuelas públicas de Hartford nos enfocamos en todo el estudiante. Tenemos altas expectativas para que nuestros hermosos y capaces estudiantes estén listos para transformar el mundo. Los invito a aprender más sobre nuestros ambientes de aprendizaje académicamente inspiradores y de apoyo emocional. Hay una escuela pública en Hartford de alta calidad esperándolo a usted y a su estudiante.
Nice, thank you.
Oh, you're very much welcome. These will be airing, Carolyn, can you help me here? We know throughout the month of January into February. Carolyn, please share the dates one more time for the RESCO as they have extended their application period.
Yes, so they extended their application period through to February 28th. It's the on-time extension. It had originally planned to close on January 31st, but now it's February 28th. And they also moved the virtual fair. We had to reschedule that due to the COVID cases. And so now that was an in-person fair. Now it's going to be a virtual event. It's been rescheduled for January 22nd. And what else? Oh, and so that's what's going on with the Resco Fair and Resco school dates, application dates. Today, though, is the final date for the tech schools applications. They closed today. And we had a soft opening as well for our choice lottery. And we know that our applications will ramp up. We're going to close on March 14th, but our application dates have now been open.
Thank you, Carolyn. We also talked about the importance of making sure that our students who are transitioning from elementary to middle and middle to high is one of our target audience to make sure that they are aware of the district choice process. What I wanted to share with you today also is let me just bring it up and talk about it. One moment. Is one of our efforts to make sure that our rising ninth grade students are aware of the opportunity partnership Hartford Public Schools have with Hartford Promise. And so if you look here, we're sharing that this opportunity for our students to have support financially and academically as they move through high school for college. So we will be sharing this material out with all our students rising from the 8th to 9th grade, letting them know that this opportunity is there for them. As you can see, we're highlighting some of our students who actually benefited from the Hartford Promise dollars and also the other academic supports that they have available to them. We have here Alicia Marie Perez Cruz from Classical and Shamar Richards from Hartford Public High School Law and Government. So again, we just wanted to make sure that our students are very clear that if they attend a Hartford Public School, whether it's a magnet or a district school, that these dollars and services are available to them. Anything I should add, Carolyn?
No, that's all they need to do is be a Hartford Public School student and resident. So that's
okay. I think that concludes the update for HBS and Resco School Choice. Any questions, Ms. Brody?
Could you go a little bit more into the technical application, technical school application closing? Last I filled out a Resco application. It was like within the application. So how do they stop that application, or is it still within the
it's
application?
still.
So what would parents experience if they're taking applications past today? Will it just not have that option for the technical schools at this point?
I'll start, Carolyn. In the past, Ms. Brody, what it does is there's an on-time application. The technical school application always closed first. They're on a different timeline. And so there's an on-time application and then there's a late application. So the application will remain available to all families. It's just that this first group of families who applied by today will then be placed first. Okay.
Okay. And so it's the online application, but so there is no paper application for the technical schools?
Not right.
There isn't. No. What we have done though is in collaboration with the state, done the work of making sure that there's technical assistance. We have late hours, other partners have late hours to assist families online.
And do we ever, I mean, I don't particularly, advocate for our children to exit Hartford Public Schools and go to technical schools, but has there ever been but it is some things they offer currently that we don't, is in regards to trades. But has there been any discussion that you've heard of that has to do with their selection? Because they select. So has there been any discussion around that you've heard of?
Are you referring to them selecting the trade?
No, like going through applications and saying, we will take this student, we won't take that student. It's not a blind lottery as far as who actually gets to sit in the seat. Because a lot of our students have, they could just make a choice that this student is not fit for their school.
So over the last, I'm going to say 2 to 3 years, once, as I was the choice director, once we heard about that through the partnership with the RESCO, we had a meeting. Dr. V and I actually met with the state to unpack why this was happening. And what we discovered is that there was an issue around the technical schools providing special education services for some students. And so there has been great work done on their end, honestly, to begin to provide those services. And we have not experienced the number of students being, for lack of a better word, rejected because of it. So over the last 2 years, even our school counselors would share that this process has improved.
Good to know, because I was speaking of that was a reason of non-acceptance. Was for that. Okay. Okay, thank you. I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that concludes the update for school choice.
Okay, so we are going, and thank you both. We're going to go right into facilities construction update.
Okay, so I'll start, and Claudia, please fill in the gaps. I'm actually going to start with an update of the construction projects that are currently in progress. As you know, we are in the midst of the Buckley High School construction project. The Board of Ed Central Office is a occupied tenant. We are currently in the demolition phase, which in this moment, there has been days when it was uncomfortable and difficult to work. So we are working with the city and the state to develop a plan forward. A few months back, I believe I shared that we agreed to vacate the space during the summer months to allow for some major roof work and other structural work that would have been really disruptive to the space. And just want to let you know here that we may have to revisit that plan. So I'll have more to share once we have our meeting with the state. Anything to add on Buckley, Claudia? Nope. The next group of schools is Betances, Wish, and Kennelly. There was a slight delay in going out for the request for proposals for a program manager. That proposal closes on January 14th, 2022. So that kind of just puts the projects about 5 months or so behind schedule. That doesn't mean that it can't be recouped. The reasons for the delay can be attributed to a shift in the staffing over at the city, as well as the need for the city to ensure that the cash flow will be there for the 3 projects. So there was some collaboration between the city finance department and Hartford Public Schools just engaged to ensure that as we move forward, that reimbursement that the city has to provide is all aligned. So now we're in a good place with those 3 projects. Okay.
Awesome. So the only question I have is the work that the pre-work that has to be done, like say for the children who are going to be in another space while their school is being rehabbed. I'm interested in us being ahead of that and having discussions like ahead of time, so that the community has the opportunity to see, as we're planning to have the children in different spaces and what we're going to be doing to those spaces. The superintendent did mention that there is going to be some rehab, like say of Milner, the old Milner School on Vine Street, to prepare for the wish to. So I just would like for us to be proactive in those discussions and for the community to have the opportunity to see our planning ahead of time.
Absolutely.
For that.
Yep. Thanks you for that, because I did want to share that there is going to be a communication plan starting this month to communicate to those school communities. Actually, last night I did provide a brief update to the Kennelly School Governors Council. And we also, Claudia and I, had a brief meeting with the principal of Wish to inform her that this is the month that we would kick off that school community visiting the old Milner building so we can begin that planning. And then I will be scheduling time with Chief Blackbird and Chief Avila to come up with a communication plan for outreach to our families. Claudio, if you don't mind, just kind of sharing about how we plan on working with the school community principal as to the swing space over at Old Milner.
Yeah, the old Milner, we didn't vacate it because it was a problem with the building. We vacated it because we had an opportunity to move the kids into basically a recently renovated school, which is the old JMA building on Tower Avenue. The building is essentially in good shape. We spent about $2 million about 2 years before we actually closed the building to improve walls, doors, painting, carpeting throughout the building. So the bones of the building is really good. I'm sure just got cobwebs and everything else up in there right now since nobody's in there. It's being used as a warming center, the cafeteria and the gymnasium. So our plan is starting around March, as soon as they're out, just to fine tune some things, clean the building out. We've talked about adding a new playscape. The playscape outside is not in good shape and it's been vandalized so many times. We don't want to put it in too early. We're waiting till we've got presence in the building before that playscape is put in, but we should be in good shape. We're ready to go and have that school ready between March and June. And then during the month of June, July, and August is the relocation of the students. We don't plan to move a lot of furniture. It's really curriculum material, staff material, going through with Charisse Snipes from MHIS to go over the technology in the building, see if there's anything we need to bring over. But generally, we're in good shape.
Thank you, Claudio. Ms. Brody, any questions?
Yes. Are we able to at all make the playscape area secure from the general public? Is that possible?
It's always a challenge. The honest answer is no. And the reason why I say that is there's very limited parks throughout the city of Hartford. And a lot of the communities utilize our playscapes for kids to play in. And Milner's a perfect example. It's between two streets. There's kids that want to use it. If we block the adults from hanging out and doing the damage of the older kids, we end up blocking the younger children who can utilize it. So it's always a challenge. During school day, we don't have a problem. We don't allow people on our property while school's in session. But once we get into the evening, it's just so difficult. It's the older children or the adults that do the damage more than the younger kids. You can't put a fence high enough to keep them from jumping over or breaking a fence just to get in there and hang out. It's a great place to sit on and do many things that they shouldn't be doing. Milner's always been a challenge. Through my tenure here, we've repaired that playscape, repainted that playscape. We've done so many things. It's just an area that's hard to control. People like to cross that property because it's between the two streets.
Yeah.
People don't want to go around the block, so they cut through. We put up gates and they've been torn down. So it's a never-ending battle. But we've been looking at the playscapes over at Wish, bring those over. We'll be doing some accounting and determining what that impact financially is going to be to bring it over. But we know that's out of all the things in the building right now, that's like the one thing that I think is most necessary and probably most expensive to do is the playscape. Everything else, the building is in pretty good shape. It's all window air conditioners. We'll go through and filter and inspect them all and making sure they're all working, ready for the kids to be in there and staff. We're hoping for a nice, smooth, quick transition over into this building. We've kept it for that one reason. We've kept it in our portfolio. People have come to look at it from the city and to see if it's available for development. And we've known that that's a perfect building for us to use as swing space.
Yeah, I've heard that about that building in community meetings. And I've tried to explain it for, the use and our planned use. There is a little bit confusing because when they see it as a warming center, they think it's to the city. And I said, no, we never turned it back over to the city. No. The reason why I ask about the playscape, not so much to think we can stop teenagers from jumping any fence. It's more of the adult activity and what is left behind. And I'm assuming the school will have a plan around checking daily so children do not come in contact with some of the things that people do off hours, and they leave behind things that we don't want children to come in contact with. That's the more of the concern for me. And I'm assuming that we have something to plan for that. Yeah,
across the district, we have probably 2 to 3 playscapes that are a convenient and isolated enough area where people like to congregate. And we're very vigilant. We've had discussions with SSOs, so they're aware of the challenges, and custodial staff is aware that they have to go through it as best they can to ensure that if anything that's left over has been picked up before students arrive. But it is a challenge, and we're aware of the process, and we'll be ready for it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I will move on to the next group is Parkville, McDonough, and Moylan. So those applications for the best word I can muster up are on hold, pending what is now required documentation from the state. There is a feasibility analysis which speaks to why, when we submit an application, that you submit as a renovation versus building new. Also, that analysis speaks to the cost of the project. In past years, that piece of the work being done before the application was submitted was waived by the state. I believe, and Claudio can help me out here, that it was about the burden of the cost occurring before the grant was approved. So the city would have to upfront those dollars for the feasibility analysis to be done before the application. Costa Diamantes in the past have waived that requirement for the district. And as that Mr. Diamantes is no longer an employee of the state, the new leadership has doubled back to us and asked us to please provide this documentation. So currently we're working with the city is working with the state. A meeting is planned with the new leadership at the state to plan forward on how we move forward with these projects. Did I get that right, Claudia? Okay.
Yes,
All right.
that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And then just following those projects is Montessori at Batchelder, Sand, and Sanchez. As you can imagine, the sequence of these projects will rely on this conversation we have about the previous cycle. And so we will give another update at our next meeting about how that last meeting went with the state.
Okay.
Okay?
And did we mention our application process for our internal choice at all?
We did at in the school choice update. Carolyn did mention that it opened. It was a soft launch this week, but go ahead, Carolyn.
Yeah, actually soft launch last week. And so we expect it to, I mean, it's open and parents can apply at HPS Choice, HPS.choice, and they can look through their options and see our selection guidelines. You know, we will, as the commercials show and as, you know, time moves on, we will expect to ramp up.
Ms. Brody, if you visit hartfordpublicschools.com, you could see the guide there interactively. There are some sliders on the homepage to engage families. And so it's all there on the website. And we, Carolyn also mentioned that we will be going virtually on our expo. And so there's going to be a virtual expo page also there for District Choice.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So are we prepared to move to the transportation update? Or was there more for the?
No, there wasn't more. Nope, we're prepared.
Okay, so we're gonna go to 3.01 transportation update.
Yep. And so my apologies. We continued to talk about an RFP for the transportation contract, but I did share in our previous meeting that due to all that COVID has brought on, that we are looking to extend our current contract with Autumn. There was a meeting scheduled, was it scheduled prior to vacation, the winter break, Bill? And now it had to get rescheduled to this Friday.
It's this Friday.
Yep. The superintendent, myself, and Bill will be meeting with Sal Murata on Friday to discuss the extension.
And I did have a question about transportation. I was once told, sorry, and I don't know how true this was. Like it was like a number amount. Is there any possible way? And I know everything is money, and stops cost money, but we have children walking far to a stop. Two concerns: walking certain distance to a stop, and the stop, the safety of the stop. I don't even go to my daughter's bus stop. I go to another bus stop because there is nowhere that I can park. My daughter's bus stop is literally at Sands School. You know that corner.
Mhm.
It's nowhere where, so I'm pulled over with hazards on, but I am taking up space. And even the parents that walk to the stop, because that's what it's designed for, parents to actually walk there, so not to drive and sit. But it's awkward because it's so much going on this corner. And sometimes, even though you have the median, people on the other side of the median don't think they should stop for, but I'm saying if a kid has to cross the median to get to the other side, so that is a little concerning, and I don't know what we could do to prevent a bus stop on the corner of like a very busy wide intersection with one crossing guard that's trying to like do it all. She's awesome, by the way, but do we think, and it's been her bus stop for every year that we've lived here. So any thoughts on that?
So actually, Shante, where we have crossing guards at a corner, we try to have bus stops there because it's easier for kids to cross on those types of streets where the streets are busy, like outside of Sands. So we have the crossing guards. So we've made bus stops where crossing guards are for the reason that they can stop the traffic better than if the students were just walking across the street by themselves. So that's why some stops are on corners where crossing guards are on busy streets. So we've looked at that to see if we were able to do that more so that they had help crossing the street, because other spots, like say down here in Weathersfield, different spots of Weathersfield have, there's not necessarily a crossing guard on the streets because here next to the school would go to school early, so there wouldn't be a crossing guard later in the morning when the kids go into the magnet schools or to the elementary schools would be there. So we do try when we can to try to have them near a crossing guard. And we can't do that everywhere. That's why that stop has stayed there as long as it has. You know, we do look at it and we take recommendations from people if we do get calls about stops being, you know, more difficult for kids across the street, and we see if we can move them. But everything that we do, and I've talked about it before on some calls, works off a radius is a half mile. So students don't have to walk exactly that far. Furthest any student would walk to a bus stop is a half mile. So where the stops are have to be in that same circle vicinity to there. So the furthest student at the back end of the circle would be 1/2 mile from the bus stop. And the whole map behind our busing is a bunch of circles that incorporate how we can possibly get the most students on the bus in a half-mile radius.
Thank you. Where would the where should the advocacy be in regards to maybe advocating for a second crossing guard? It's a lot for one crossing guard on that. It's an extremely busy because you have parents that's for Sands School lined up, and then they're double parked where they shouldn't be. So where is that a City of Hartford thing? Because it's a lot going on this corner.
Yep, the city does handle the crossing guards, and we had an earlier issue at Sands School where there was a correct bus stop that we moved. We had to move the stop down further because it was right outside of the school as well, and that was a lot more cars were there, and we asked them to move their stop down another block just to give us some more room there so that we could get some of the traffic and people away, because they were actually picking right up in the drop-off lane out front. That's where the correct bus stop. The bus was pulling in there and it was jamming up the traffic even worse. And we had asked for them to move it down the street a little.
Yep, and I would just add that it definitely is the city. Unfortunately, like many other, they have vacancies for crossing guards. And I think during COVID, it has increased more where they had to shift some crossing guards. So it may be a really difficult time to request an additional crossing guard because as I'm understanding it, it's been very difficult for them to manage the corners that they're managing now.
I know because at my daughter's school, the crossing guard kindly walked up to me, I think a month ago, and was like, I was letting her, because any fish you are, I don't even try to go left.
Right.
Then I'm going to be wrapped around. I appreciate them making that traffic one way because to try to make that area better. But she walked over to my car and was like, Friday, I'm retiring. Like she proudly announced that, like I am gone.
Yeah.
But maybe, I mean, the voice of the community could say, you don't got no crossing guard, you can have the police out here to help the crossing guard.
Yeah.
Like it's only a certain amount of time, because it's not, people just think they don't have to, like, you have to see me. I am all the way livid, because even for a block up from Sands, you have bus, they dropping off. It's usually the older kids. Like I can see like they maybe their high school down a little bit further, but cars are still going on the other side of the median, and the bus, like, do you see us stop? Kids are crossing over to that side of the street, and it's like very frustrating to see. But I'll try to do some advocacy on the city side on these very busy intersections, that until they're fully staffed, will they be willing to have an officer that's assigned to the area support the crossing guards to keep our kids a little bit safer than I think they are at certain intersections. So,
yep. And just for your information, we have a similar issue over at McDonough. Yep. Same.
And Kennelly's an issue too. That's a giant issue right outside of Kennelly.
Yeah, I was riding by Kennelly one time during dismissal, and I was like, okay, yes. So I've seen Kennelly. Yeah, it just needs to be I know I don't need another meeting, but it always bothers me, and they're like blind, like they're in their zone. But I know sometimes if it's more of a presence of another crossing guard, or if the officer is there, it will make people see. But you have one crossing guard managing in a very busy, and they kind of get lost in with the people, and they're trying to keep families safe. But I'll try to raise that with the city. So
okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Very welcome. I believe that concludes the transportation update.
Okay, so it is 9:15. Miss Santiago, anything else? Are we good?
That would be it. We're good.
Okay, so I thank everyone for their time, and that's a whole, well, I don't know, does this meeting run short, or is one of the committee meetings that I don't think it's like an hour and a half, but
It just
it depends.
Right, it depends. Some meetings are longer than others, but
okay, but they're all scheduled for an hour and a half.
oh yes. That's
Oh,
correct.
okay.
Yes.
Okay, so that is an entire 45 minutes back.
We'll take it.
But I truly thank you all for your time and the valuable information that you've provided on our next steps and what we have to look forward to. So with that said, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
All
Have a
right,
great
thanks.
day.